Well, back to the demons we go. It all started when Nilah was first revealed. There, people thought she looked fine, but their interest peaked when she mentioned her demon. We then got her story, where we learned that her demon was called Ashlesh, and that he was one of the 10 primal demons. And now things got even more interesting with her voice lines. Because while Nilah may look like an ordinary champion, her lore carries her far beyond that. And her voice lines are a perfect reflection of it. So without further ado, let's praise Skin Spotlights, and let's dive into the interesting details we can find in Nilah's voice lines.
Is this a test, gods? I hope you don't mind losing your aspect.
Throughout the voice lines, Nilah will mention a lot of higher beings. A lot of talking about gods, demons and aspects. That's because she gets most of her joy from simply slaying mythical beasts. But as you'll see, it all has a darker twist.
Fallen lords of light, now flesh and rage, will you face me?
An interesting detail here is that when she's talking about the Darkin, of course she calls them fallen lords of light. Because if you don't know, the Darkin are ascended that were corrupted by the void. And also their mental health broke after Azir died. Anyway, here it is cool to see that she calls them lords of light. Because whenever Nilah is talking about demons, she calls demons lords. This could be what people simply do in Kathkan, her homeland, which would imply that she calls the Darkins demons, even though they are not real demons.
You are nothing, demon. I've crushed hundreds of your kind.
And then there is the next line where she actually calls a demon a demon. So maybe the Kathkani only call the primal demons lords. You'll see what I mean by this in the next one.
Lord of Fear, I know what you really are, and I know how to kill you.
Yes, here she calls Fiddlesticks the Lord of Fear, because Fiddlesticks is also known as the Demon of Fear. And yes, Fiddlesticks is one of the 10 primal demons. What is interesting about this quote is that Nilah knows how to destroy Fiddlesticks, which is something that was so far unheard of. We are not really even sure what the primal demons are. They were always considered some kind of a primal force in the universe. But what's cool is that we know that if you know the name of a lesser demon, you can control them. This is, for example, how the Azakana work. So if she knows what Fiddlesticks is, I wonder if the rules are similar for the primal demons. Maybe because she knows what Fiddlesticks is, she has the key to destroying it.
How many times must I embarrass you, Malcolm Graves?
Yes, this is a reference to the fact that Nilah has met Malcolm Graves before. This was mentioned in the latest story with TF and Graves. But as to what they were doing together, we still don't know.
To think, the brave Callista of Carmivore reduced to this.
This is an interesting one because when Nilah was a kid, she enjoyed reading books about mythical heroes. And among those, she also read about the Mad King Viego. This is straight up mentioned in her bio. So of course, she also knows who Callista is. Because remember, Nilah's homeland, Kathkan, was Camavore's neighbor. So of course, they would know what happened to Camavore.
Your ancestors and mine once shared a homeland, Darha.
This one has a lot more depth than most people think. Since she is mentioning that the people of the First Lands and the people of Kathkan come from the same place, it is extremely likely that Nilah is referencing an event which we can find in the book Realms of Runeterra. There, if you have a look at the timeline, you can see that near the very beginning, there is an event called the Western Migration. And this is when people traveled to the west and they started occupying the other continents. We don't know if all people originate from the Camavorian continent, but we know that all of their ancestors originate from the east.
I know your name, San Uzal. You are weak to fear death.
And this line is also pretty cool. First of all, yes, Mordekaiser's real name is San Uzal. Mordekaiser is his spirit name spoken in the language of the dead, Oknun. And also it is cool to see that she calls him out by fearing death. Because when San Uzal died, he was simply so angry that there were no gods in the afterlife that he decided to become a god himself. That's how Mordekaiser was born. He was simply too angry to die, which one could portray as fearing death.
Atreus, is it? Few are worthy to hold power such as ours.
This is the one that confused a lot of people. On Twitter, it was explained that Nilah's powers are similar to those of the Aspects. Except while the powers of the Aspects comes from the Celestials, Nilah's powers come from the demons. So it is somewhat pointed out that the power of the primal demons may be similar to the power of the primal Aspects.
You left Viego on our doorstep, Sentinel. Not very neighborly.
This is a hilarious comment on the end of the Sentinels of Light, because there, Senna, Akshan and Gwen essentially banished Viego back on Camavor. So right now, Viego is not defeated, he is simply frozen in time back in his homeland. And once again, because Nilah's homeland is neighboring Camavor, she didn't think that was very nice of the Sentinels.
We are not alike, Jericho Swain. I know the price I paid.
And here she's commenting on the fact that Swain simply doesn't know the deal he had made with his demon. We know that just like Nilah, Swain is wielding the power of likely one of the primal demons. This one would be Raum, the demon of secrets. However, to this day, we don't really know how that deal went down. We still have no idea what the demon did to Swain. We just know that it repaired his hand and now he can use the demon's visions. At what cost, however, we don't know. So Nilah is suggesting that later down the line, Swain may not have a good time.
Tobias Felix, you're a cheat and a bad friend and I don't like you.
I wonder if she doesn't like Tobias Felix because, as was confirmed in the story, he is jealous.
Viego, we didn't fall to Camavor when you lived and I won't fall now.
Once again, it was confirmed that Kafkan was Camavor's rival. And this line confirms that Kafkan did not fall during the wars with the Tyrant.
You have begun to fade, thousand-pierced bear, but I will give you one last battle.
Here she's referencing the fact that people stopped believing in Volibear. Volibear gains his powers from those who worship him. But also, he represents the primal might of the Freljord. He wants people to be ferocious, and he wants them to fight for their survival. So ever since people started building houses and herding goats, they simply didn't need the powers of Volibear anymore. So that's why he's beginning to fade.
Ha! First of nothing! Tell the other 8 where to find me.
Once again, this is a reference to Fiddlesticks being one of the primal demons. In fact, Fiddlesticks was always called the first of 10. He is supposed to be held even above the other 9. And she wants Fiddlesticks to tell the other 8, because number 9 is her own demon, Ashlesh.
Call me when you need me, Malcolm Graves, but I tire of this.
I wonder if this means that Malcolm Graves once asked for her help. Because other than that, I have no idea what their interactions were.
Strange. I feel a third presence. Something far older.
This is a very cool reference to the beginning of Kindred themselves. In the past, it was teased that Kindred were originally part of a single body. This was the Pale Man. During Spirit Blossom, we learned that the Pale Man's job was to take people away. That's why people shunned him and he was alone. And because he was so alone, he decided to make a friend. In Ionia, legends believe it was done with a knife, but in Demacia it is believed it happened with an axe. Regardless, Kindred's teaser explains exactly what Nilah is referencing.
Lamb, tell me a story.
There was once a pale man with dark hair who was very lonely.
Why was it lonely?
All things must meet this man, so they shunned him.
Did he chase them all?
He took an axe and split himself in two.
So he would always have a friend.
So he would always have a friend.
When you meet the demon, warn him of my strength.
Now this one is interesting because she believes whenever she kills someone, they meet a demon. One would believe everyone has to meet Kindred. But this almost makes it feel like she would be harvesting souls for the demons. Maybe that's why she would be using the powers of Ashlesh. Regardless, this one is a strange one.
The river of fate drowns the unworthy.
The River of Fate is also a reference to her bio. When Nilah was a girl, she actually wasn't called Nilah. We don't know her real name because the real name was wiped from the history by the demon. And later, when she re-emerged, she started calling herself Nilah, after the River of Fate. So this mystical River of Fate likely has some great value to the Kathkani.
Give my regards to the viper worms.
Now, if you ignore the fact that Skin Spotlights is using Google AI for the subtitles, because she's not saying worms, but worms, this is a direct reference to her bio, because there it was mentioned that Nilah killed a mystical beast called Mother Viper, which presumably would be the mother of the viper worms.
I am Nilah of the 7th layer. Accept my challenge.
Of course, if you don't know, the 7th layer is an order of mystical heroes who live underneath Kathkan. There they are making sure Ashlesh stays locked away.
In death, Ashlesh, my spirit is yours. But in life, your strength and joy belong to me.
You know, the point of Nilah's entire story is that the demon Ashlesh wiped her from the history of Runeterra. Her name was literally forgotten by everyone. But in turn, the demon allowed Nilah to wield its power. This quote makes it feel like their deal was that after Nilah dies, her spirit would be fully consumed by Ashlesh. But because everyone had already forgotten Nilah, she is slaying all the most epic monsters of Runeterra so that everyone would once again remember her. Here, I wonder if her death is considered by everyone forgetting her again, rather than her actually physically dying. That would be a great allegory to her lore.
Ashlesh, Lord of Joy, for stealing my name and my fate, I claim your power.
And this quote explains exactly what I just said. Ashlesh wiped her from the memory of Runeterra, and in turn, she is wielding its power. And once again, she is calling Ashlesh Lord of Joy, even though he is a demon.
Joy is not an easy power to master. It infects you, becomes you.
And again, for those of you who don't know, Ashlesh also wiped out Nilah's entire emotional spectrum, and it only left her with one emotion, that one being joy. So Nilah literally can't feel anything but joy. I wonder if this quote is as horrific as it sounds. Feeling joyous all the time, even during the most horrifying moments, is probably way worse than people believe.
7 hands reach for 7 locks, yearning to break free.
This one is definitely referencing Ashlesh. Once again, the demon is being locked away underneath Kathkan by the order of heroes called the 7th layer. And because these heroes are keeping the demon locked up, these have to be the 7 hands of the demon trying to free itself.
I will face the great villains of myth and live forever in song.
And again, I am getting this creepy vibe that Nilah just wants to be remembered forever, because the true death is being forgotten. I still hope it's somehow related to her deal with the demon. Maybe if she gets forgotten the second time, something horrifying is going to happen.
The Lord of Joy rages in his prison, his power taken by me.
And again, Ashlesh is being locked away while she is wielding its power. And next we have 3 recalls that tell you a poem about how Ashlesh was locked away.
Cast down he fell, reaching upward with his 7 hands. Ashlesh turned to gaze upon the stars, and his hungers only grew. He rests now, trapped in the 7th layer, deep beneath the waters.
And that's what happened to him. That's such a cool world-building quote.
Remember my name.
Yet again, it's quite creepy how she really wants everyone to remember her no matter what.
Joy was my choice. I would choose it again.
Well, you see, I don't believe it was actually your choice. Unless she's talking about something we don't know about. Maybe it was her choice to wield the demon.
Master one evil, then destroy the rest.
Well, it really seems like she is dedicated to using one demon to destroy the other primal ones. So maybe Fiddlesticks is her main rival.
All I feel is joy. It is difficult.
And this is the first time she's actually self-referencing what's happening to her. Because, you know, even though her emotional spectrum was wiped out, she is still aware that she should have those emotions. It's not like she was turned into a mindless husk. She can still talk about how she feels. It's just that when she talks about it, she really has to like it. And that is it for Nilah's voice lines. To be fair, these were really good. Once again, it gets proven that the person responsible for Nilah's story is just really good. Because her lore is amazing, and the voice lines reflect that. So, with Nilah finally wrapped up, now it's time to look forward, because Star Guardians are approaching. And I am sure when it comes to demons, not only will we not see a single one of them, we will also definitely, absolutely not date them.